Hello, everyone. So, I've done a psychic reading for October 2020. I already did this reading. I did a written reading instead of doing it as a live reading because I felt that I could really tap into more, interesting, useful information by kind of giving myself that extra time to let it kind of sink in before trying to say it live on a webcam. So I'm going to go ahead and read what I wrote, or my notes. And first, what came to me was a quick thing about September, um, and how there's so much violence and anger escalating. Actually, it's kind of funny because I started to feel the sense that that was happening like a week ago or something, and actually told my girlfriend, I was like, I feel like something's about to explode. And then the next day there was like all these shootings and whatnot going on in Portland. I live in Portland, Oregon, where a lot of this is going on. But anyways, I was feeling when I was just doing this meditation, I was getting that the violence and the anger for September, which is it's September now, September 4th, that it's going to escalate for one more week or so and then go back down for September at least. And then in October, what this reading's supposed to be about, violence erupts again halfway through the month at a sharp peak. In other words, it's just kind of like out of nowhere, just like I'm seeing it as being kind of intense. I was seeing police and firefighters. Potentially, firefighters could be involved with this. I haven't seen firefighters involved with it on the news before. Maybe we'll see more of that or some of that for the first time. I don't know. But I was seeing firefighters come up. And something about a fire being blamed on the right, like Trump supporters being blamed on them when it wasn't really them doing it. Although it kind of goes back and forth, I was also seeing the right wingers being bullies and invoking violence. So, I'm just seeing both of them going back and forth. I wrote attempts from both sides to slander each other. And then this was something that it may be literal, it may just be more representing the energy of the situation going on. But what I saw was an image of someone on a moving car, and like out the back of the car had like a machine gun, just like shooting out the back of this car. So there could be potential shootings from moving vehicles, and maybe even like bigger guns involved potentially for October. So I was seeing that it's going to be mostly kind of quiet at the beginning of the month. Second half of the month, I was seeing Biden appearing kind of speechless about the level of division within the U.S. with a sense of fear, is what I was seeing. There will be a militia presence, and from the other side, I was seeing like a strong sense of pride and faith against it, like people kind of like boldly going outside, and like kind of like acting like kind of like they own everything, like having the sense that they own their surroundings, they're like in ownership of the space around them, and that being them like kind of protesting the idea that they should feel threatened by the other side. So seeing that as strong pride and faith on Biden's side, obviously the left wing side, which may prove to be unsafe, is what I was getting, like a sense of almost going too far in that direction, like pushing too far to kind of make a point that like we're fine, we're safe, we own this, but like it might be dangerous. Um, Trump announcing less force for October, like kind of stepping back a little bit. And I was like him saying, "We will see what happens." That type of attitude is coming up. Um, October, like I wasn't trying to look for politics for October, but politics is just at what kept coming up, and I was like, oh yeah, the election is literally like right after October, so it makes sense. But just everything showing up for me was politics. So October very tense with politics and the news, specifically in the news. Although I see Trump being less involved, like within like being aggressive and whatnot, and taking less action. However, I'm seeing Trump supporters being very aggressive, more than expected, and I would say be careful. Political frustration, furious mothers. I don't know specifically why that showed up in particular, but I saw just mothers like on the internet looking up the news and be just furious, just fuming. So probably see that. I mean, it's somewhat expected, but that's what's showing up for me. Another thing, random, totally random, possible storms in the Bahamas. So there's that. Trump feeding the flames to the violence, but a man of few words, watching it play out. And I got this sense that there's like a calculated chess game that he was playing where Pence was involved in it. And it was kind of like everything was calculated and they were kind of just waiting for things to play out. And I was seeing Biden being very overwhelmed with like what's going on in October, like socially, politically, if that was one word, I would fuse it into one word. um, so I'm just seeing him being very overwhelmed with like the chaos and division and just all that going on. People unable to focus on family life, obviously due to the election. So people, nervous energy, snappy, people being really snappy towards each other, quick to react, and very ungrounded type of energy for people during the month of October. Decisions could use more thought before action. Quick purchases and plans could be big mistakes. A sense of distrust towards each other in the U.S. People just like kind of like glaring at each other and like nobody kind of trusts each other. It's almost like people are preparing for some sort of war or something like that, like civil war or something. Like that type of energy. Like people are getting in that mode. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm just saying that's like the type of energy where people are, um, you know, that's just how people are kind of feeling. And like a sick feeling in the stomach. I just kind of felt that myself. I was like, ooh, like something about that, like stomach kind of feeling sick from the intensity of that. So when I looked for a next step, such as something that people can do to kind of relieve themselves of these burdens. In other words, what their spirit would want from them is another way of saying that. What I saw was finding isolated areas to play for families with kids due to constricted feeling of not being safe to express oneself, despite the political pride scenario that I was saying earlier, where people will be like kind of like pushing themselves like past the level of safety to kind of like make a point about like I deserve to be here. I'm okay. Like I have all the right to be here. But it's like Yeah, but it's not safe. So there will be people doing that, but most people will have, more kind of sense not to do that, and so it will be very helpful to be able to find like a trail somewhere, like outdoor area where no one ever goes, where you can go with like your family or whatever if you have kids, and just like play and be able to be yourself again in that area. Um, for people who are single or don't have kids or whatever, finding a place to write could be beneficial. Specifically, things that were important for October were to be imaginative and creative in order for people to flourish. Um, Getting your personal space will be very important. Creativity is going to be very strong in October, but push to fuel it. But there will be a push to fuel the creativity into political drama. But you want to kind of separate from that if you can. So, getting your space, your personal space, will allow you to have deep insights into yourself and others and come to some spiritual um, insights and enlightenment possibilities, actually. And the month of October, I'm seeing, is a big possibility if people can harness the energy productively. Um, I wrote, "Seeing through the veil, even though the rest of the world may be in chaos." Um, Checks for many people will be coming, so I don't know exactly what that means. Checks, I don't know. That could be, initially, I was thinking that might be delayed unemployment checks where people haven't gotten their unemployment yet and it's like taking forever. Or it could also be, now that I'm reading this now, it just occurred to me that that actually could be, checks from the government written out to help the economy. Either way, just checks coming to people from the government, helping them out financially in some way, whatever that may be. I'm seeing that for October. Coronavirus cases will not be too high overall in October, is what I'm getting, but there will be a spike around the end of the first week of October and the beginning of the third week of October, but then it will go back down. However, it may start to increase in November or kind of start to slowly increase at the end of October leading into November. Um, so that's what I was seeing for October. When I was doing this meditation, some other things started popping up in my mind that were interesting, so I'm just going to go ahead and include that in this, even though it's not necessarily relevant for October. But it has to do with the types of things that will be on people's minds during October. So what I was getting was there may be some collusion with the Chinese president and Donald Trump for the election. Um, and I know that seems kind of contradictory to everything that we know about Donald Trump, and I don't know, it's like Z something, I don't know how to say his name, the Chinese president. Um, but yeah, some sort of weird connection between them, like an economic connection. So I was seeing the president of China does not like Trump. He thinks he can damage the U.S. easier with Trump as president, though, because he can kind of take advantage of his, blind spots. And I don't know if this is literal, but what I was seeing, warships could be more justified That's a possible future. There could be warships involved from China. I don't know towards where, towards the U.S. or towards something else. I don't know, but I was saying that being more able to be justified if Trump wins. So it's like the Chinese president wants Trump to win in that way. Um, since of taking advantage of Trump's arrogance of already defeating China, like Trump thinking he's already kind of defeated China, and then China like having this hidden power. And I was seeing this strange connection. I was seeing energy cords, or just cords is what people call them sometimes, just communication networks of energy. Um, this is not on a conscious level, of course, but I was seeing China connection to Russia and Ukraine. Um, but the Chinese president is unable to look Trump in the face. Um, and this is the way I was saying it was Trump's energy was floating above uh, the president of China, meaning he's kind of dominant in on some level. At least that's the way that I perceive energy. That's how it comes to me. Um, well, and he was also oblivious was the other thing. And then China was kind of lower, but they were like making all these connections, getting busy networking plans is what I wrote. So you can take all that with a grain of salt. I'm not exactly sure what all that means, but that's just what was coming to me. So make of that what you will. I'm going to go ahead and end this recording so I don't make it too long. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, like the video if you like it. I appreciate that if you do. Have a good one. Take it easy.